Hi, this is Elton Stephen again with another video, and in this one I'm going to focus on unconditional love. And I'm not talking about unconditional love in the next life. I'm talking about the unconditional love that exists in this life, specifically in this hospital. And what do I mean by that? The dedication of family members to a patient. You know, a husband to a wife to a husband, a mother to a child. I mean, it's been extraordinary to see what I have seen, and I'm honored by what I have seen. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you some stories, about three of them, just particularly. But I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one. And the first one was, and this was about a month ago. I had a request to do last rites, and so I went in the new wing, and so I went in the new wing, and I walked in the room. And I have to tell you, what I saw when I walked in that room, it took my breath away. I was just stunned by what I saw. And what I saw was a husband and wife, and the wife was, I could not tell the difference between whether she was male or female. She had a form of cancer that was so advanced. But the thing that was so amazing about it is that the part of the other picture was the husband on his knees. And did it make any difference to him? Not at all. He loved that wife like nothing I've ever, it was just extraordinary to watch that love between he and his wife. And they were high school. They knew each other from high school. They were married for about 34 years. And the love in his eyes towards her, you cannot believe how bad she looked. It didn't make any difference to him whatsoever. Not at all. And so, it was just amazing. But I proceeded to go ahead and do last rites for him, and he was, what I found out, she was ill for quite a while, and so I did last rites, and about, I understand, about an hour and a half later, she passed away. And I went back to the room, to have a chance to talk to him because I found out about that, and he was already gone. So but as I said, she was sick for a long time, so he was kind of adjusted to already. Let me go on to the next story, and this has to do with a dog and a patient here in the hospital. The dog's name was Rusty. And you've heard relationships between a master or between a dog and an owner, and sometimes it's very, very strong. In this case, there was one heck of a bond. And this one patient did have a family, a wife and two children. But the relationship, or his relationship with this dog, Rusty, was really just a very strong bond. And wherever he went, he took the dog with him. But this time, when he was in the hospital, for about 2 months. He was pretty sick. And here's the thing about the dog. From what I understand from the wife, the dog was, about a day later, the dog got very depressed. The dog knew. The dog knew that he was very ill, but nothing the dog could do about it. It was at home, and what I found out later, too, the dog didn't eat, or ate very little for some period of time. And here's the interesting thing about all this. What happened is the dog started to eat. And it was kind of in relation to, because the dog knew that the patient here was starting to get better. And that's why he started to eat. And the dog knew in the very near future they would see each other again. And so it came. He got discharged. And you have to understand, when somebody's here for that long a period of time, you get to know that the doctors got to know the patient and so on, and the nurses too, the attending nurses. And we all kind of went out there to the front entrance to kind of watch this, because we just knew it was going to be something kind of special, and it was. And so in the front entrance, you have family members, visiting their loved ones, or waiting in line to get in, and so on and so forth. And sure enough, the dog was there. Rusty was there with the wife and the two children, and he walked out, and the dog took off. What I mean by that, he took off and just jumped into his arms. And he was weak. He was really weak, but he held on to the dog. And that dog's tail was just like that. You could not believe what you were seeing. And everybody that was in the front entrance there was watching this whole thing. But it was amazing, it was amazing the bond that they had between, a dog and the owner. Anyway, let me go to the next story, and The next story really has to do with here's a 27-year-old girl, stage 4 cancer, and when I saw it, the nurses, everybody thought maybe 2 or 3 days, and that's about the extent of how long she's going to be around. The one thing that was was interesting, that before COVID, family members would come in, and in her room, I walked in every time, and there must have been every single day, maybe 10, 15, 20 people every single day that I went in there. They were so dedicated to that young girl, 27-year-old, and you know what? 3.5 weeks later, she was discharged. And my sense is, and I talked to the doctors too, that her cancer went into remission. It was almost practically gone, but because she had such support from her family, and it was a fairly big family when you have that many people in the room all the time, but that really contributed to her health. Why am I bringing all this up? Unconditional love. It exists we're in this lifetime. It exists, and it's what God intended. And I'm just kind of reminding everybody that it's here. I mean, people, it is stunning. Between a husband and wife, people that have been married 25, 30, and even 71 years have been together. They're there every day. One more story, quick, and this is current, and it's about a mother and a child. And the baby is around 42, 45 weeks old. And we have children in here that are born, and sometimes no parents, they just are not there. And but in this case, on the other side of the coin, in this case, the mother was there every single day, and I have never seen such dedication to a child. I mean, it happens all the time, but this was kind of extraordinary to see. And she was there. I mean, she slept overnight, and just all the time, and every breath that child took, she was stroking his forehead. And so you see this. I mean, you see this kind of dedication in the hospital. And I said in the beginning, I'm honored to see what I've seen. And it was what God intended. And I talked about in one of the videos God's message, why He created you, to be with Him forevermore. And the other part is that unconditional not only is in the next life, but it's also in this life. So I'm going to end it here, and again, I always say I hope your day is going well, and I appreciate your time on this, and I just wanted to share this experience with you at the hospital. There'll be some other videos coming, but this is an important one, about unconditional love. Anyway, thanks for your time. I appreciate it, and until the next time, and I appreciate it again. Thanks again.